Hello everyone and welcome back to my journey. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Samantha and I am a 26-year-old from Ontario, Canada, and almost 8 months ago now I had gastric bypass surgery. So my last video was part 2 of the day of surgery, and if you missed that you can head on over and check that video out now. In today's video I'm going to be going over some of the not so great things about weight loss surgery, specifically gastric bypass surgery. As always, I just wanted to take a second to say thank you and welcome back to my returning subscribers, and to also say that if you are not already subscribed to my channel, you can go ahead and do that now. As of this moment, we're like almost at 80 subscribers and I'm so excited. Really appreciate you all for the love and support. It really does mean a lot to me, and I'm just trying to reach as many people as I possibly can. So to start off with, I know that a lot of people who have weight loss surgery end up getting asked at one point or another, or a million times, if they regret having surgery. If they ever wish that they could go back and undo what they did or choose a different route. And personally, I don't think that I've been asked this yet, but I have had people ask me, was it worth it? Are you happy? Are you where you thought you'd be by now? And the answer to those questions are yes, yes, and no. I am not where I thought I'd be, but not in a bad way. I absolutely do not regret having this surgery. This is not like a cult thing. I'm not trying to get anybody to go ahead and sign up for having the surgery. I just want to share my story with people because I really wish that I had been able to absorb the information that I did about this surgery a little earlier. Maybe I just wasn't in the right headspace at all, but one day I just remember it all kind of clicked, and if I could be that moment for somebody, if I can be that person who makes it click and makes you want to change your life, then my life is made, and I'm super happy to hear that and would love to be a source of support for you along the way. So starting at the very beginning, one thing that really sucks about having weight loss surgery is waiting for the approval. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and myself only, and the experiences that I had having weight loss surgery in Ontario, Canada, and I know that waiting for the approval was a really grueling process and it was a struggle towards the end. Part of that approval comes with your measurements being taken. And if you're anything like me, when I went in for my initial appointment, after my referral had been sent and I had been approved to start the process, I said to myself before I went in, I don't want to know any of the numbers. I don't want to know the number on the scale. And at some point between being in the parking lot and being in the actual room, I kind of realized that sooner or later I was gonna want to know that number and I was going to want to see it. And sure enough, I looked, and that was a really, really hard day for me. That was before the point that I actually hit 400 pounds. So I was just before it, and that was not my heaviest weight. And I will get into that a little later, but finding that out was not easy. That was a really hard day that I remember just like it was yesterday. It was a roller coaster waiting for that approval, and it was a roller coaster trying to get myself in order enough to be able to have a surgery. So keep that in mind because that is not a fun part of this journey. The pre-op diet is always something to consider. It is really intense, especially if your situation was like mine was, where I had to do 4 weeks and 5 days of a pre-op diet. If you are in Ontario, Canada, you will likely be doing the OptiFast diet, which is fun. If you want to hear more about OptiFast and my pre-op diet, you can go ahead and check that video out. Another thing that kind of sucks about weight loss surgery is that you really have to track your foods. I'm really horrible at tracking my foods, but I do try, and every once in a while when I feel like I've really fallen off the wagon, or I feel a lot of anxiety because maybe I've given in to some older habits and indulged in something that I feel I shouldn't have, I will get myself back on track track by opening up my Bariatric app and starting to track my foods. There are a few things in your life which you will end up having to give up. One of those things that was a really big thing for me was giving up carbonation of all kinds. I have had carbonation post-op, but only a few sips here and there, just if I wanted to try the taste of something, or if I really needed a sip of a drink and the only thing that was there was something carbonated. It does hurt my stomach, and therefore it is not worth it. I know that I was hugely addicted to pop, and that is not something that I ever want to go back to. It just doesn't make sense in the lifestyle that I've chosen, so I have had to give that up completely, and that was a huge thing for me, and I'm still really proud of myself for kicking that habit. There are really no foods that you're going to have to give up per se. In this journey, it's really important that you try to remember that there are no good foods and no bad foods. If you do label them that way, just know that it is kind of playing into the whole mind trick of we want what we can't have. Therefore, trying to keep in mind that there's nothing that you can't have. It's just, will those foods work for you? Will they really be contributing to the lifestyle that you've chosen? Are they going to hurt your pouch? Are they going to cause you to have dumping syndrome? Are they going to help you to meet your protein goals? You ultimately get to decide which things you give up, but that is once again a hard realization to come to, and it's a hard decision to make. Just because you've had a physical surgery does not mean that the temptation and the mental issues that you were and still are going through will go away. You can't cut an eating disorder out of your brain, so you have to remember that this is just as much of an emotional journey as it is a physical one, if not even more so. Caffeine is something that you're supposed to really limit after surgery. I was told by my clinic that I can have 1 cup of coffee a day and that I should be totally fine, but that wasn't until about my 6-month post-op appointment where they really gave me the go-ahead to do that. And it is recommended that you avoid it just to avoid getting ulcers and having issues, because your anatomy is a little bit different and you are more prone to getting ulcers. If you are a smoker, you have to keep in mind that smoking is a 100% absolute no after surgery. It causes ulcers. There are a lot of horror stories from people who have had the surgery and have smoked afterwards, and I'm not a doctor, I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm just reiterating the information that I was given from my clinic and what I've been told and the research that I have done. Even though I wasn't a smoker myself, the risk of transfer addictions is extremely high. Therefore, I was recommended to severely lower my alcohol intake, which was like 2 to 3 drinks a year. So, you know, now I have 2 to 3 sips of a drink. Physically, one of the downsides of this surgery is recovery, of course. The first few days after surgery, you may rethink everything entirely and you may wish that you never did this. There was never a point for me where I started to think, oh my god, I wish I never did this, but there were definitely points where I was like, I hope this is over soon so that we can get to the good stuff. A lot of the negatives that I can pinpoint in my mind for after the surgery are definitely things that impact your mental wellness. So for me, I know that I find myself subconsciously comparing myself to other people who've had the surgery, and I think that person is almost 8 months out and they're this much down, or they weigh this much, or they're this size. Their before and afters look crazy different than the way that mine do. Everybody's different. Nobody is in the same body and nobody's going to react the same way. So it's really important to keep in mind that you comparing yourself to other people is not helpful, not productive, and not even accurate at all. Body dysmorphia is a huge part of this journey, and I really do find sometimes that when I look in the mirror, I still look like I'm at my heaviest, and that can be really scary, and it can also really, really ruin your mood and your day and your week. So far for me, those things have been temporary because sometimes I look in the mirror and I don't even know who I am, or someone else will take a picture of me and I'll look at it and I'll be like, I don't look like that. And that is just the way that these mental games go with the surgery, especially when you are losing weight in that quick of a time frame. Things are going to change and things are going to seem really, really weird for a while. Stalls in your weight loss will mess with your head. Inevitably, it's going to happen. You might think like, oh, well, 1 pound a week is better than no pounds a week. And you can say that to yourself until you're blue in the face. But when you've lost and gained the same 3 pounds over a 3-week period, it starts to really eat away at you, and it starts to get scary because at a certain point you start to consider, am I done? Is this all the weight that I'm gonna lose? Am I gonna be this weight forever? And is that enough for me? Another part of this journey is that you will find foods that you actually like to eat again. In an earlier video, I mentioned that I thought I would never enjoy food again, and when I started to enjoy it, I ate those foods all the time. I had a routine. I would have my protein shake in the morning. I would have the same lunch every day, pretty much the same dinner every day. And then I started to wonder why my weight loss had stalled or really slowed down. And I found out that your body kind of gets used to those foods and then it stops doing things with them. You have to change your routine up all the time in order to keep your body on its toes and keep the weight moving. If you do not like taking pills, you will have to buckle up because vitamins are something that you're going to have to take for the rest of your life if you have weight loss surgery in order to maintain the proper nutrients and not lose all of your hair and your teeth and bone mass. You have to keep up on your vitamins every single day, multiple times a day. You can't take NSAIDs anymore. NSAIDs are ibuprofen, naproxen, aspirin, stuff like that. You cannot have them anymore because they are another thing that puts you at risk of developing ulcers. You kind of have to plan for restriction to happen all the time, and by restriction I mean you can plan to go out for a nice dinner, or you can plan a nice meal out and have everything laid out on the plate, and then you go to take a couple bites of it and you find that you are full. This is one of those things, of course, that has another side to its coin, which means that sometimes you feel like you can eat and you're having no restriction at all, and you're wondering why you're not getting full, and you're wondering if something has happened or if you've stretched your pouch, and that is a huge form of anxiety for me. Like I said, I have reverted back to tracking my foods whenever I start to feel like I'm spiraling. Seeing other people enjoy the foods that you once loved but you either can no longer eat or choose to no longer eat can be really, really difficult sometimes, just because you've chosen to make a healthy decision and you've chosen this lifestyle does not make it any easier, especially when this food was a source of comfort for you and a source of happiness. It's definitely not easy to see somebody who doesn't have the same food addiction that you have enjoy the foods that you used to love. Trying to constantly find the balance between getting enough protein in, getting enough fiber in, getting enough carbohydrates and water and vitamins and other medications, trying to find the balance between all of those things can feel like you're doing a puzzle that has no solution. It's crazy, it's scary, it's stressful, and it requires a lot of planning and a lot of dedication, so you have to have it in your mind that you're really going to commit to this journey. I have been really open about my journey with all of the people in my life, and although I know that this is most likely not the case, it is very easy to convince yourself that other people are judging you based off of how much or how little you are eating. Changing your life in general is a pretty difficult thing to do, but when you lose the weight of an entire other adult human being, you take on a new persona. You kind of become that person who lost the weight of an entire adult human being, and that can be a really scary thing, and it can be something that you even need to remind yourself sometimes that you are more than your weight loss journey, and that you're doing this for you and you're making the decisions that you feel are necessary to make. So those were some cons to having weight loss surgery, but of course we are going to take a look at the other side of the coin in my next video, where I'm going to take you guys through some of the incredible parts of this journey, as well as some non-scale victories that I personally have achieved since having gastric bypass surgery. As always, if you have any questions, suggestions, or requests for future videos, you can leave them in the comments down below. You can also direct message me on Instagram Instagram, my username is Samantha_RNY13. I am always willing to answer any questions that anyone has, so you guys can feel free to message me anytime. As I said before, if you are not already subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate if you went ahead and did that and hit the notification bell to be notified when I post new videos. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye guys!